welcome. It's Friday night, it's 9 p.m. and we are back here on
How to Ace Your Career.
So guys, like you all know, we come here every Friday night at 9 p.m. to help you in some ways to grow in your career, to ace in your career. And an extended version of that is we are also trying to help you grow in your relationships because both of them are two important pillars for you to have a happy and a fulfilled life.
So true.
And why are we doing this? Who are we? So I'm Nutan, I'm a career and a life coach, and I've been coaching mid-age people when they stagnate in their career or whether they are stuck in their life, they're wanting a shift, they're not able to make it on their own. That is where they come to us. And
Yeah, I'm a career coach and I'm a relationship coach. And both of us put together, we create this company, ND Life Coaching.
so today again, there's a wonderful topic that we've come up with. And of course, when I give a topic, it has to be wonderful. I don't choose it just like that. But it always is coming from each one of you.
Yes.
So whenever there's a poll put up and we get the maximum, that first thing is what we bring into our live sessions so that you can take the maximum advantage of this session. So we have been seeing a lot happening in the work, people really losing it, not being able to deal with the work pressure, how things are going. And that is why today we thought it's important for us to discuss how do we really create emotional boundaries so that we can protect ourselves and we can protect others. Setting boundaries at work is essential to long-term well-being and career success. When you ignore them, you give away your power. But when you reinforce them, you teach others around you how to treat you. So the most important question then is, what is an emotional boundary?
Absolutely. So an emotional boundary is a psychological limit that defines how much of your emotional energy you're willing to share or absorb from others. I'll again repeat, share or absorb from others. It helps you protect your mental and emotional well-being by determining what kind of emotional exchanges are healthy for you. So let's give you some examples about emotional boundaries. What does it involve? So the first thing emotional boundary involves is recognizing your own feelings. And once you recognize what you're feeling, what's going on, how are you feeling, and then taking responsibility for them without taking on others' emotions. Okay? Does it make sense?
Then of course, one of the most important thing and the most difficult thing, knowing when to say no to protect your mental health and energy. We'll dive into it later, but we're just coming up with the most crucial part. Yes.
Then communicating clearly. Now, this is one area which I feel people fail. You need to be absolutely clear when you need a space or you need an emotional support. Kindly communicate clearly.
And of course, not letting others' emotions dictate your action or overwhelm your own sense of yourself or your well-being. So if this is what it is, then how do you really create these boundaries? And I think the most important step to do that is by shifting your mindset. What do I mean by this? We feel that if I'm going to set boundaries, am I becoming selfish? Is it a wrong thing? Should I be doing this? And I can tell you, it's the most important and necessary thing you can do to take care of yourself for a long term. Which means instead of giving away your power to your boss, you're taking it back in your hands by setting some healthy limits. Boundaries are imperative because they create safety, they protect your well-being, they promote healthy relationship, they enhance your self-esteem. And with all of this, you can do a wonderful job. But without them, you may feel exhausted and resentful. And believe me, when you get into that space, you are not the person that you would actually want to be. So it's better to set a boundary than to reach a stage where you are not happy with yourself. And I have people coming and telling me, I don't recognize who's this person. I never was like this. I don't know why I turned into someone which I only don't like. So to live without boundaries is to live without the respect you deserve. Once you acknowledge your right to express your needs directly, you're ready to take the next step.
So the next step is define your priorities. So which means before setting boundaries at work, define your values and your priorities. Ask yourself whether they have shifted over time. For example, you might have gone from being single to married or raising children also. Or perhaps you would have been taking care of your old aging parents. Another priority might be your own well-being. At times we need to take care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because health is something which today is one of the most important challenges that I'm seeing overall. If any of your priorities have shifted, you need to create some new boundaries. If a lack of boundaries at work is causing severe health issue, it's time to make immediate changes.
And especially, this is meant for,
Mid-age.
yes, the people whom we deal with. You just cannot ignore this. Then, of course, once you have shifted your mindset, you have defined your priorities, now it's time that you determine your limits. What does it mean? It means you define your values and your priorities. Now, priorities based on above what we said, that when you were single, you were available all the time, you were doing all the work, you were not minding the hours. But today you're married and maybe certain events are important.
Sure.
So based on that, your priority will change, and that your values also will change, because now your partner comes above and your career somewhere goes below. So it's time to set your limits. To start with, label your boundaries as hard or soft. What does this mean? Hard boundaries are the ones which you refuse to compromise on, but soft boundaries are flexible. It's like it's good to have them, but when it comes to the hard boundaries, you must have them. You cannot compromise on them. For example, if you need to spend time with your kids, you don't want to one fine day understand that your kid has become an adult, right? If you want to go through that journey, probably every evening you may not want to go back to the laptop, check your emails, do everything. But if there is a project which needs to be delivered, there is a deadline, or there is something come up which is needing your urgent attention, then you can definitely go back and look at your email and respond to them. That becomes a soft boundary. But suppose you have your mom you need to take care. She's going through a surgery and going to have some regular follow ups on physiotherapy sessions, and you're the only one who can take her to the doctor. You cannot compromise on that. That means you need that flexibility to adjust your work schedule on those particular days. Obviously, you will take it in a way that you're also taking care of your work, but even then, there could be a compromise, but that is non negotiable, because your mother's health is the most crucial. So, that becomes a good example of hard boundary.
Now, communicate and be consistent, which means boundaries at work should be communicated clearly, confidently, and often. Don't just explain what your boundaries are, but also why you need them. Be honest so that your manager, your colleagues understand your perspective. Also, define your terms. For instance, if you don't want to be contacted on vacation unless it's urgent, outline what constitutes an
Otherwise, everything becomes an emergency.
absolutely so true. So finally, your boundaries will be inevitable, get violated at some point. When that happens, address it immediately. Speak up and tell the person, you know what? That what happened, I don't want this to happen. When I'm on the leave, I would prefer to be on my own or be what the reasons that I've taken the leave. I would not like you to disturb me again. What the issue and how you want to proceed, you should make it clear. While it might initially feel uncomfortable, it's okay. It's better to reinforce your boundaries at the moment rather than wait, because you keep waiting, you keep waiting, you keep waiting. But when you're waiting, you're actually giving that opposite person a signal that you're okay with it. And because you're okay, people cross those boundaries. But if you say an absolute fixed boundaries, it is not going to happen.
And that is why you have to practice saying
No.
So if you feel uncomfortable saying no, that's okay. You just have to start practicing it. And you try testing this out in lesser intense situation. So you're easy. But anything starts like a muscle. When I start doing this every day, I know that this muscle is going to build. Same way is practicing saying no. I am one person who's really taken efforts to be able to communicate, say a no, learning from him continuously on how you could have said this in a beautiful way. So, what you need to do, you need to respectfully decline. No to say that this task is exceeding my capacity. I cannot do this at this time. So, for example, I would love to help, but as of now, I'm stuck till here. Whenever I'll have the space, I'll come back to you. And most important thing, avoid overcommitting. Protect your time and energy by focusing on some key responsibilities. So I would love to explain this based on our profession.
Yep.
And then, of course, we can get in details on how do we use this in terms of work and in terms of relationship. So for example, when I am in my session, I will get messages, I won't respond to them. If I get a call, I am not going to pick them up. And my clients, my family members, everyone knows that. So they know the minute I will get that scope, I take those gaps in my sessions where I can respond to immediate and important messages and calls, but I will not pick up a call during my session. And because that is communicated to my client, he also values it because he would not love to be disturbed when I'm coaching him. So it becomes easy for them to accept this. Second thing that we do, both of us have laid these rules in our family. You can call. The first call could be just about, hi, how are you doing? Is everything okay? But if there's something urgent, you can give a call the second time. If I see the call ringing the second time, which means it's urgent, I need to pick it up. I have my aging mother. He has his aging parents. My mom doesn't every time stay with me, but she's very nearby. But his parents stay very far off. Now, if these rules are laid, we know, we are rest assured that if there is a time of emergency, we can reach out at the right time. So when you lay these boundaries, it becomes so easy to function for you, for your clients, for your colleagues, for your bosses, and also for your family members.
So now, here are some practical steps that you can use so that you can set some healthy emotional boundaries in the workplace. To start with,
First, recognize your limits. So, though you need to keep growing in your limits, but every time you need to know this is where I am. Now, I can push myself only so much. If I'm taking this kind of commitment, I'm going to fail. So, self awareness is the first step. Understand your emotional capacity. Identify the situations that drain you. Pay attention to how certain interactions or tasks make you feel, and then be honest with yourself about what you can and cannot handle. Just don't be over optimistic, otherwise you'll feel overwhelmed.
then communicate assertively. So I'll tell you what is assertive communication. In a simple word, it's all about saying a no in the most appropriate manner. That's what is communicating assertively. So you need to be saying no in the most assertive manner. And also, you need to use the I statement. Like, for example, you know what? Whenever you feel,
Why did you come to me at the last time? Last minute, the project has to be submitted tomorrow. I can't do it. Instead,
I feel overwhelmed when projects come to me at the last minute. Simple.
so I'm not alligating him.
That why did you come late? No, I feel overwhelmed. So that's what is that I statement. Or set expectation, which means communicate your availability and emotional boundaries clearly, whether it's about responding to an email, participating after hours work, or taking on extra responsibilities.
Then one most important thing that I teach each and every client of mine. And what does that mean? It says detach emotionally from work conflicts. Now, conflicts are going to be there at work. There is no ways this will not come up. But you know what happens when you personalize? When you personalize, it becomes to you. So, whenever conflicts arise, stay professional. Don't take that criticism or negativity to your heart. Understand that first, it could be other person's mood. He would have got affected by something and that's why he's lashed out. Or those issues aren't your responsibility. Or it is not directed towards me, it is directed towards this chair, this designation, this job, this profile. It's not to do with me individually.
Yeah.
It's a very thin line, but it is the most effective way to handle things at work, because conflicts are going to happen all the time. Conflict between the stakeholders and the client, between your colleagues and your stakeholders. Every time you're going to go through all that. And separate your work from your self-worth. Understand that setbacks at work don't define your value as a person. I may go through ups, I may go through down in my career. That doesn't mean I was great here and I'm a bad person here. I am that same person at both these levels. So it's very, very important that you define your self worth, not lying it identical with your work life.
Now, one thing which very few people do it actually is they take periodical breaks. Okay, that's very important. Take breaks and just disconnect, which means you need to have regular breaks. Take time to recharge throughout the day. Step away from stressful situation or people when in it. Like one of my clients is gone out for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So he called me, sir, I want to speak. So I said, no, keep the phone. You're on a break now. So for the next 3 days, I don't want you to talk anything about business or work. I just want you to focus on your family, have a great time, enjoy. That's it. That's what I told him. Take a break and then unplug after hours. Now, this is very important. The moment you set boundaries for work communication after your workday ends, it will avoid a lot of emotional overload. So when you're done, you're done. After that, switch off your phone and just focus on your family or whatever that you want to do. So take break and disconnect.
So for us also, our of course a laptop is shut, but even our phone internet is off. That gives a clear communication to everyone that we are not engaging in any kind of conversation beyond this point of time. That time is only for us. Then of course, one very important thing, seek support when needed. Just don't keep going through that alone. Now this could be anyone. You have to figure out who's the right person, whether it is designation, it is department, or is it person. You can talk to the HR, you can talk to the management, you can talk to your colleague, you can talk to your peer, but it's important to reach out for help when you're going through an emotional turmoil. And for that, you need to have amazing relationship with your peers, with your superior. Maybe interact regularly with your HR people, because when they trust you, respect you, they support your boundaries. So let's go through some real life examples of emotional boundaries at work.
For example, first saying no to overwork. So you know, till you are going to take it, people are going to give it. Now, because I'm taking it, people are also getting it. It's not their problem. It's you who are insecure, you who have FOMO or fear of missing out, so you want to take the entire load.
Or probably you're so fearful that if I say no, I may lose my job.
Or I might lose my promotion. Okay. So first thing is say no to overwork. Second,
of course, you respect your capacity and you refuse additional tasks because they may cause burnout. And if there's a burnout happening, you anyways cannot deliver effectively. Then, of course, not taking criticism personally, which I just mentioned, right? If a colleague is providing constructive feedback, your boss is providing a constructive feedback, you need to maintain that emotional detachment, focusing on the improvement rather than internalizing it as a personal attack on you.
Yeah. Then you need to limit your emotional availability, which means I'm sorry you're going through a tough time, but I need to stay focused on this task right now. Okay.
So, you know, it happens that a colleague is coming and she's sobbing, and you have something, there's a deadline there, you have to submit. You know, this colleague of yours all the time, small little titch, and there she's overwhelmed. And you feel so sympathetic that you want to give her that time. But you need to decide this is more important. So you can convey to that person, I need to do this, I'll get back to you. When you maintain that empathy but professional boundaries, you will prevent from being emotionally drained.
At the same time, you need to set clear communication hours. I'm happy to discuss this during work hours, but I don't respond to emails after whatever time, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever. Like we have a deadline. After that, we don't respond, we don't connect because we're done. So that's very important. You need to establish when you're available for work related conversation. Protecting your personal time is a must. Otherwise, you will never, I repeat, you never have a personal time. You'll only have 24/7 professional time, and that's why you'll be burning out and you'll have health issues.
Managing workplace conflict calmly. So, in tense situation, you need to maintain a very calm demeanor and avoid getting emotionally invested. It's like Let's take a step back. So, there's a heated conversation going on, and everyone is out there and pointing fingers at each other. The best thing is, let's take a step back. Let's pause and revisit this conversation when both of us or all of us are calm. If you can do that, you can just bring a pause. And there are times when people just start laughing at each other
Yeah,
that why did we get so intense? It's very much possible. So, at the time when you feel you're losing it, it's time to take a pause, take a step back, look at it, and then revisit the conversation when the emotions are settled. So, this was about work. Now, let's try and understand how to create emotional boundaries in
your relationship, because
relationships.
that's also extremely important. Like I keep repeating, 95% of your happiness comes from your intimate life, so which means your love life, your relationship life. So for that, number one, know yourself first and your needs. What are the biggest challenge that I when I coach people, people absolutely aware of what they don't want, but what do they need? They have no clarity. Who they are, they have no clarity. So, which means you need to first identify your emotional triggers. Recognize what situation, words, or actions make you feel overwhelmed, anxious, or uncomfortable. So, we always are very clear in our communication. You know what? Can you not use these words? Because when you use these words, I get because we have something that triggers us. So I'll always tell them, can you avoid using these words? This triggers an uncomfortable situation for me. I don't feel that great. So she doesn't use it. So simple. Same way, clarify your values and limits. How will someone else know what you value them is? What's your limit? You need to clarify, which means you need to first clear with yourself about what feels acceptable and what crosses your own emotional boundaries.
So, most of the times it's because you don't have a clarity. This is also okay. This is also okay. Now, when I'm putting a yes to both, how will my partner know that this is not acceptable and what is the damage that is being caused internally?
Like, for example, I don't like Karela Sabji. Simple as that can be. I'm just giving it simple, Instead of saying, it's okay, chal hai to theek hai. No, you don't like it, say, you know what, I don't like it. If it's healthy, it's okay, but I don't like it. Simple as can be.
So, at times, like you can see, he's a very passionate person who speaks a lot of energy and enthusiasm. But when we met, the tone and the body language and that loud personality of his, when he would speak and he would communicate it hard, I would feel scared. Then came a time when I actually went out to him and said that, what, this loud voice doesn't work with me, because somewhere, I don't know where, at what stage of my life, I equal that to violence. So loud voices only happen when people are getting aggressive with each other. Over time, I have learned to accept him, but those times he took care of this. So whenever he realized I'm stepping back, he would realize that it's his voice that is doing it, and he would calm it down. Today, I'm as energetic and as passionate as him, and it's so easily manageable. But if I didn't do that time, probably we wouldn't be here together.
Yep.
And to do that, you have to communicate clearly and calmly. So instead of saying, like I said again, I feel scared. Nothing is wrong in you, but I feel scared when I hear loud voice, because I'm not used to hearing loud voice, strong body language, right? And when I say this, the other person, in the right time and space, not when it is sounding like an accusation, when I don't accuse him, when I don't blame him, he could take it, he could understand, and he could make those changes.
Once again, learn to say no without a guilt. I'll again repeat, learn to say no without a guilt. That guilt is the issue. So, which means you need to first practice assertiveness. I said, stand up for your emotional well being without feeling guilty. You have the right to say no to situations or requests that drain your emotional energy. Like, for example, if somebody is telling you to do something which is going to drain your energy, just say, you know what? No, I am not comfortable with this. I would not want to do this. Simple as that can be. Same after that, you need to explain your reasons. If you're saying no creates tension, then calmly explain why setting this boundary is so important to you. Okay, so I need some alone time so that I can recharge myself. I can again come back fully so that I can give my best. That's what you can do.
Which again happens between the two of us, right? We communicate to each other. So he would say, when I'm not getting a response, and I look at him today, after so many years, I can just feel it through the eyes. We don't even have to express. So I understand that that's the time he wants a space. Probably he's thinking something, or probably he's really very exhausted and he just wants to be on his own. Both of us give us that space, and when we are recharged, we are back again in that space and energy, and we are ready to take on what comes. Then of course, manage expectations. So set realistic expectations for emotional support. While a healthy relationship involves mutual support, neither partner should be responsible for the other person's entire emotional well-being. I'm not saying I'm not there to support, but because you were low, I felt like this. Because you were angry, this is what I did. Because you did this, this is what I... When it is constantly because of you, this is what I'm going through, which means I'm completely dependent on that person's emotional state. That's not how you work. So you have to balance in giving and receiving. There is nothing wrong in receiving, and there is nothing wrong in giving. It's only an act of balance. Of course, it can vary at times, but there has to be a balance. So ensure that there is a healthy exchange of emotional support, so that you're not the only one absorbing all the punches or fixing all the problems.
So for that, it's important that you take response. You don't take responsibility for others'
Others.
emotion. Okay. So there are some people who are always angry, frustrated. That's their emotional home. They again go there again and again and again. You are not responsible for that. So you need to recognize their emotions are separate from yours. Understand that your partner's emotion, reaction, or issues aren't always your responsibility, because there are some people who are like this all the time. And also avoid over involvement. Of course, we need to support each other. That's so important. But avoiding getting enmeshed in their emotional experiences to the point where you lose track and you fall, and you start not knowing what do you need. And okay, you lose track of what you need and you're not able to work on yourself. You're not able to fulfill your need, and then you feel unhappy. So take care of that. Okay.
So, sometimes, like I said, he needs that space. Now I'm figuring, oh my God, no, you have to tell me what happened, tell me what happened. He's going to get agitated, and I am going to be overwhelmed, and that will go on. Instead, I understand he's figuring out on his own. When I leave him to that, I know he'll be able to come back. That is called as over involvement, when I'm pushing that person to the edge and I'm also being overwhelmed because I'm not getting the answer. So involvement is great. Over involvement starts creating damage,
So
because
true.
we all need that thin line,
Space.
that space. And that is what is the next thing. Give yourself space. Take time for yourself. It's okay to take some emotional breaks and spend time alone to recharge. Both of us, every day in the morning, take that time to recharge ourselves. He's also there doing the same thing. I am also there doing the same thing. We are together, but we are separate, right? He's also into his morning rituals. I'm also into my morning rituals. We are doing it together, but there is something which is not seen. But he's on his own and I'm on my own. Let your partner know when you need time apart to maintain your emotional health. Set time limits on difficult conversations. You know, there are times when I'm into something, I know my client is coming, there's a session, and he's going to come and speak to me. I'm not going to receive it. So we both know that this is not the time he is emotionally available or I'm emotionally available. We pause and we come back when we both know this is the time, this is the space. We are in that patience, that calmness. And this is the time to really strike difficult conversations.
Then it's important that you respect your partner's boundaries. So, which means listen actively. Pay attention when your partner expresses their emotional boundaries. Like females like to express a lot. So, we as men, like what I do, I just listen actively. Completely whatever that I'm listening to her. Now, I know the moment I'm listening, that itself solves the problem. Because she does not need to fix it. I'm the Mr. Fix It. I don't do that. I listen. And after that 10, 20 minutes, she's calmed down. So listen actively to your partners. Then avoid pushing their limits. Okay. Everybody has set their boundary. So you need to resist the urge to challenge your question. Why you take so much time to come out of this? I come out in a minute. Why you take an hour? It's fine. We are all different humans. We have our own boundaries. We have our own time to come back. We have our own time to perform. So it's healthy. It's fine. So avoid pushing their limits.
And finally, create an emotional safety. Foster open and non judgmental communication. Ensure your relationship with a space where you are safe. where both partners feel comfortable discussing their emotional needs without the fear of being dismissed or invalidated. Resolve conflicts respectfully, avoid emotional manipulation. We all know when we are trying to manipulate someone, right? Or going on to that guilt trip,
Yeah.
or that silent treatment. Now something has happened, I'm not going to talk to you. Or that emotional outburst. So that is why create a safe environment between the two of you so that you can express yourself freely. Now these are all some practical tools and strategies we just discussed. But the most important thing is, how can you build your own emotional resilience? And that's the key to living a happy and a fulfilled life, because outside you can't control. What you can control is your inner self. And that is why we are doing a workshop on the coming Friday, 4th October, where we are going to bring together people online on a Zoom, and we are going to teach people how to build that emotional resilience, because we both have done that for ourselves. And that is why we could not only sustain but thrive in the most toughest environments. So if
Absolutely.
you're interested, please put in the comment section, reach out to us that you're interested in that workshop, and we'll send you a link, and we'll see you there next
You just have
Friday.
to say one word: I'm interested in the workshop, and our people will reach out to you and we'll be able to help you. So thank you very much, and see you on next Friday on How to Ace Your